Welcome to the show. Wow, this is exciting. Rachel Bolan, bassist and songwriter from Skid Row, is my guest today. Where do I begin on this one? I mean, Skid Row was my literally number one favorite band when I was a kid. They are the reason that I like metal and rock music. I was actually more into pop and rap stuff when I was a kid. And then I remember I was hanging out with this girl in 8th grade, and she's like, "Hey, can we listen to Skid Row?" And I was like, "I don't care. I'm hanging out with a girl. Like, you can do whatever you want." And so she put on Skid Row Slave to the Grind, and my ears like perked up, and I was like, "What is this music? Who's this? Skid what? Skid Row?" Like, and then I instantly became a fan. I started getting into Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Pantera, Alice in Chains, all the rock stuff back in the day. But Skid Row to me was the coolest. I loved everything about them: the name, the logo, their look, their sound, the songs, the home videos. They showed like how they was just such a fun and cool band to hang out with. So it was just very surreal to chat with Rachel today. And he was such a cool guy. You know, they say don't meet your heroes, but I'm so glad I got to meet Rachel and chat with him. It was just a lot of fun. He's a funny guy, great stories. Skid Row is just, they're an amazing band. They've had some amazing success. Their debut album sold 5 million copies in the US. They had 2 top 10 pop hits. And then the Slave to the Grind record, that was the first metal album to debut at #1 in the charts. And they toured with everyone from Aerosmith to Soundgarden. So do yourself a favor, definitely take a listen to their music, especially the first 2 records if you haven't already. And if you are a fan, you're going to love this interview, I think. It was a lot of fun. Check it out. Good. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Chuck Shoot Podcast. I really appreciate you doing this. I'm going to try not to fanboy out too much, but you guys were my #1 favorite band in high school, so this is a little weird for me.
That's killer, and I love the shirt.
Yeah, I wore that. I know you're a big fan, so yeah, I wore that for you. Yeah, let's just dive right into it.
Cool.
Talk about your background. So you were exposed to a lot of different kinds of music, and I thought that was interesting that your first concert was actually Liberace, and that's when you decided you were going to be a rock star, from a Liberace concert.
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, I knew because I was such a young kid, and it just moved me. Like, I can't even describe it. I can remember, it's going over 50 years ago that happened. And I can remember it like it was yesterday, man. And it just had such an impact on me, the sound of the crowd and just his overall talent. And just the people feeding off of what he was doing and him feeding off of the crowd as well. Yeah, it just had a huge impact on me.
So it was a lot of not just the music, but the showmanship and stuff, right? Or I've never been to a Liberace concert, but I imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only one I was ever at. But it was just him and a piano and just his playing, and people were so entranced in what he was doing, and it was just you could feel it. You could just feel everything in the air, and After that, I started listening to so much more music, of my brothers and sisters that they had on 45s and stuff. And the living room stairs became my stage, and the entryway to the house was the big crowd. So, you know what I mean? It was all up here. And man, it was pretty monumental.
But Kiss was really the thing that got you into rock. Like, that was your first rock concert, the Rock and Roll All Over album. And that's when you decided to play the bass, because you're like, well, that's what Gene Simmons does, and he's awesome. He spits fire. I want to do that.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. And I showed the pictures to my parents at the dinner table, and they were like, huh, all right. And my mom said, "What's the bass?" And I'm like, it's bass, Mom. It's pronounced bass.
Didn't you get in trouble for taking the album to school for show and tell or something?
Oh, that was Alice Cooper.
Or Alice Cooper. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So then you play the bass, you're in a couple bands, and your life changes when you meet Snake at a music store. And he says that I love this. You walked in, this had to be the 80s. You walked in wearing a pink beret and a red leather jacket. And Snake is like, this guy's a rock star. But I heard you say that you were kind of like an uncool kid in high school. So when did you become cool?
Well, I always thought I was cool, but I didn't really fit into anything, because there were, I like punk rock and I like Kiss. And there was just very few of us, there were the Deadheads, the Leadheads, and then the Southern rock fans, and then just, the jocks and stuff like that. And I had friends kind of in each of those cliques, but I never really truly fit in. So I always felt that, I didn't feel cool, but in my head, I was like the coolest kid around, because I wore a leather jacket to school, or, I wore Sex Pistols or a Ramones shirt to school, or Kiss and whatever. And then, I took a lot of flack for it, but,
Oh, you just,
whatever.
so you did kind of got bullied a little bit, or like shit?
I got bullied when I was a little kid. Yeah. Because I kept my hair longer. And but my parents were always about doing your own thing. And my dad said you could either run, or if people pick on you, you could either run away or you could fight them, because he always used to use this one saying. He's like, if they're bigger than you and they're picking on you for no reason, he goes, hit them with a stick.
There you go.
And that I kind of applied that to everything I do in life. If I see a challenge in front of me, I hit it with the proverbial stick. You know what I mean? A metaphorical stick. And so I got through it best I could, and here I am. Bullying is a lot worse today because you have the internet and whatnot.
Right. Oh, that's scary.
Back then it might have meant a punch in the face, or getting knocked down and made to eat dirt or whatever. But I never stood down. Even if I get my ass kicked, I just didn't stand down, and it's not in my nature.
Like your songs we'll get to. But so you met Snake at the music store, and then this is crazy. I heard Scotti joined the band. He was actually from upstate New York, and he would drive. You knew that he was for real because he would drive 3.5 hours to try out for your band.
But that was for the band before Skid Row.
Yeah.
We were looking for guitar players, and I was keeping I put an ad in the Aquarian, which was the music newspaper, still is, I think, the tri-state area. And I just write names of people that call that were on the answer machine, and I call some back, and I kept just skipping over Scotty's because he was so far away. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to call this dude and just see what's up, just pick his brain. And I was like, dude, you're almost 4 hours away. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, I'll come down, I'll drive down. And he did. And he started playing, and the drummer, Damien, and we were just like, you got to be kidding me. This guy's amazing. You know what I mean? And I went into work the next day just so psyched, because Scotty drove home that same night. He drove 8 hours to play for an hour. And his work ethic and just his dedication was it blew me away. And him and I became friends really fast.
So did he then eventually move? At what point did he move? So that, because you guys are in a band called Godsend, or?
Correct. Yeah. And he, he started staying. We'd rehearse on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he'd come down, he'd drive down Friday and then stay at my parents' house with me until Sunday night, and then he'd drive home. And then he eventually, when Skid Row happened, he moved to Jersey full time.
Right. So Skid Row happens. You guys bring in Snake. You start the band. So I'm curious. Like, I didn't know. I just found this out. Your stage name was a combination of your brother Richard and your grandfather Manuel, and then you also, you're Alice Cooper fans. So you're like, well, Rachel, it's a girl, so I'll just, and Bolan, obviously Mark Bolan from T-Rex. But I'm curious about like the name Skid Row and the logo. Like, who came up with that? Because that was one of my biggest things when I was a kid, was like, that logo just looks so cool, and like the name, it just sounded cool. Like, who came up with all that stuff?
Yeah, Snake and I came up with the name. This is before Scotti was even in the band. It was I was jamming with Snake, and Scotti and I were in a band before Skid Row, and we disbanded. And Snake had a band together, and we were driving up to rehearsal one day, and the band was actually called Darkness, believe it or not. Yeah. So he, I asked Snake, I go, are you really into this name? He's like, yeah, I kind of dig it, but I'm not 100% sure, but I think all the guys are into it. And I was like, he's like, obviously you're not. I was like, I don't know, man. I think there's
Really?
something more to us, especially the direction of the songs and just something that more encompasses where we are at in our lives. And we came up with Skid Row on the way to rehearsal, and told the band that we were changing the name, and they were just like pissed. And it's okay. None of them are in the band anymore anyway.
Right.
So then, that's when the name was born, and we attached it to all the songs we had written, and it just made way more sense, because we had absolutely nothing, like pooling our money together to make it to rehearsal on gas and paying the tolls on the Jersey, the Garden State Parkway. And man, I mean, other than living off my parents is, I didn't want to, but I had a JCPenney's credit card that I used to use for the cafeteria there.
Really?
There.
Interesting.
Man.
That's cool.
Another struggling musician buddy of mine turned me on to that. He's like, yeah, man, you could eat so much for so cheap and just pay it at the end of the month. Man, you could go in during the all you could eat. I ate with so many people over 80 years old. It was ridiculous.
I did not know JCPenney had a cafeteria. That's hilarious.
They used to. It was a very small cafeteria, and then it turned into kind of a restaurant, but it's just fluorescent lights and
That's funny.
It was pretty funny, but man, it was sustenance,
Yeah. So this is a cool little side note for the people who don't really know the whole story with Skid Row. Obviously, Jon Bon Jovi was an integral part of your success, and this was so smart of Snake. So when Snake and Jon Bon Jovi, they grew up neighbors, and they were kids. I don't know if it was 7 years old. I don't know what the actual age was, but I think I heard 7. They made a pact that whoever became a rock star first, they would use their influence to help the other person. That is so smart of him to hitch his wagon to Jon Bon Jovi. Like, he must have known. Like, I bet that kid came out of the womb just like looking like a rock star with perfect hair. Like, he knew, he's like, I'm going to hitch my wagon to that guy. Yeah. Right.
That was, you can't, no one could ever accuse Snake of, not being clever. You know what I mean? They made that. I'm not sure the age that they made that pact either, but, they did. And, obviously John, became very successful, and those guys are still dear friends to this day.
Yeah. So sorry, go on.
Yeah. So they made that pact, and John hit success first, and for a short time they actually played together in a band. John became successful first, and he kept the pact.
That's super cool. I love loyalty things like that. It's really cool. So what advice was it mostly just like they would tell you how to tweak songs, like, hey, change this part, change that. Like, they like kind of put you guys to work, right? Because you guys would be working and slaving away writing these songs, and then they would hear them and go, you need to change this, you need to fix that, right?
John especially, he would make suggestions. We bounce ideas off of him. It was never like, do it my way or you guys are idiots, but it was just like, this is from my experience and this and that. And he just, he taught us some very valuable lessons of songwriting in general. We don't really write the same way, but the most valuable lesson I think John taught me anyway is you have to write stuff that's not so self-indulgent that you're going to be the only one that understands what you're saying. You have to write for people to understand, other people to understand stuff. And, you could be metaphorical and you could be poetic, but if you're trying to reach other people, you have to make it a little more general and not self-indulgent. And that was really, really important because, you want to create a song or a poem or whatever it is, and you want to make it kind of like a suggestion, unless you're telling a literal story. You want to make it a suggestion, but you also don't want there to have to be cliff notes to it. You know what I mean? For people to understand what you're saying.
No, I think that's good advice, because it definitely, those songs resonated with me. And that's what I hated about English class and literary thing. I would read stuff. I don't understand this. I mean, when I listen to your guys' songs, those lyrics, yeah, that totally resonated with me. I knew exactly what you guys were talking about.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a really valuable lesson that Jon taught me as a songwriter.
Yeah. So you guys got to open up for Bon Jovi when you had the other singer, Matt Fallon. And it's so fat. Like, I feel so bad for that guy because he was like he was a singer Skid Row, almost made it. Then he was the singer. I don't know if it was Anthrax first, but he was a singer in both those bands. And then, just it's like gotta be so close. But Doc McGee was the guy that said, you guys got to get a new singer. So you got rid of him and then you auditioned some other singers. This is a crazy story. I didn't know. I thought this was like internet farce or something, but then I heard you guys talking about it. John Corabi, who would later go on to be a singer in Motley Crue, he was given an opportunity to audition for the band.
Mm-hmm. He blew it off.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he blew it off. And to this day, he'll see me. He's like, yeah, I'm really glad I blew off that audition.
Like, why did he blow? Like, what was his story or reason? Because too far away. He was in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we weren't far from Philly. We were about an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Not even, maybe an hour and 10. But I don't know. I think he told us that his water heater broke. I think that was him. Somebody that we auditioned said, I can't come in. My water heater broke, and my basement's full of water. And then never heard back. But yeah, John. I bust his balls.
How did you even find him? Did he send in a tape or something, or someone recommend him?
No, someone recommended him. I think Snake jammed with him once, or maybe a Fuso did. I forget. One of the guys knew him.
Okay,
and I know what got here myself.
Okay, yeah,
I think it was Snake because Snake had a lot of ties to the whole Philly scene.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So I think that's how John's name came up, and then he blew us off.
That is just such a. I'm surprised no one ever. I didn't know that. I thought of myself as a diehard fan. I never knew that story. I couldn't believe it. But So, anyways, you get Sebastian Bach. The rest is history. But I'm curious about this part. So, like, up until the time that you guys got signed, you would rehearse in your garage, and like I think it was like your parents said they had to turn the TV up full blast to like drown out your sound, and then. It sounded like, how did you guys, like, can you talk about the work ethic? Because I think people always assume that some of these rock stars, they have it lucky. They're lucky. That's always like a thing I hear from people's success. Oh, they got lucky. Oh, they knew Bon Jovi, so it's lucky. But I mean, it sounded like you guys were working day jobs, and then you'd come home and you rehearse and you'd write songs and all that stuff. And then I heard you stay up till like 5 a.m. sometimes and then go to work at 8 a.m. Like, talk about how hard you guys worked in those days before you made it.
Well, yeah, we'd rehearse about 5 days a week. And whatever time we had to stop by 10 because, like you said, it was in my parents' garage. It was a 2-car garage. We had to stop by 10 because of the neighbors, but we'd pretty much do about 6 hours a day, 6-hour rehearsals for 5 days a week. And when we weren't doing that, Snake and I were writing constantly after we got out of work. And sometimes on the days off, we'd write and we just keep going. Sometimes till 7 a.m, getting a quick hour's sleep, and then all going to work and getting home and going straight into rehearsal. So it was. I mean, luck is a small part of success. It's all the hard work and that leads up to that lucky. That small luck window is what really brings on the success. We were nonstop, and then we tried to get as many gigs in as we could. But I just remember some days where Snake and I would be writing. I remember you as one of them where we were writing and writing and writing and writing, and I just remember like looking over at Snake and he's looking at the clock. He's like, oh my God, I got to be to work in like an hour. and like everything was fuzzy. Everything was totally fuzzy. And we went to work right after that. And then either rehearsal or writing some more, we just wanted to keep piling up the songs and getting as many as we could. And then, getting feedback from John and Richie was really important. And we were just demoing stuff with drum machines. And then sometimes we didn't even have a microphone, and we'd sing, and we had a broken, like we took a speaker, like the casing off a pair of headphones, and we took the speaker and we just used that to sing into, and just get a slightly distorted, but we would get a scratch vocal down, singing through the speaker and through the mic input. Because we were broke, man. We couldn't afford anything. We're recording on a used Yamaha 4-track that was on cassette. And we just keep bouncing tracks and bouncing to where you hear all that bleed and that hiss, but we got the idea of the song across. And that's what we'd shop too.
Wow.
We'd shop stuff like that.
And
that's another thing that we were doing in between everything else, is going to New York.
Yeah, weren't you literally knocking on doors and like trying to get people to sign you?
Yeah, we had some scheduled things that we were lucky enough for friends to set up for us. And the fact that Jon was, we got the endorsement from Jon, bringing up his name helped a lot, obviously. But yeah, sometimes we'd be like, well, we just went to A&M Records, and we're right across the street from, the offices of whatever records. Let's just, hell with it. We got a few more cassettes in our pocket. Let's just go say we have a meet. Let's look up, like, who's the A&R guy there? Who's whoever there? And let's say we have a meeting with him. It's like, oh, I don't see you on the list. It's like, you'll have to sit down and wait. He'll be done at 2 or whatever. Oh, wow. Sometimes they'd let us in, sometimes they wouldn't, but most of the times they did.
Wow.
And yeah, but failure was not an option. Snake and I, that was the one thing. Snake and I were, when I met him, I realized quickly that we were both on a collision course with success. And wow. And it just, there was nothing that was going to hold us back. It would be so cold out sometimes in New York, so damn cold that we would be, our hands would be so cold. We're like, okay, let's go buy a cup of coffee and then just hang out in this place and just nurse it as long as we could, just to get warm before our next meeting.
Did you do like I know in LA, they talk about the flyering, like where you put the flyers up all over the place to promote your shows and stuff. Did you do that?
We didn't really have to do that. That wasn't a thing in New Jersey
or
New York. We'd make up some of them and take them around, or if there was like a board at the venue, we would stick something up on there. But mostly we would just rely on the club itself to do whatever promoting.
Yeah.
And it was all worth it. Like my dad always used to say, you could never be afraid of hard work.
No, that's amazing. So you finally get an offer. It's actually first you're offered by Geffen, sorry. And the ink wasn't even ready to paper. And then Atlantic swooped in, which was good, because didn't you say that Geffen, they wanted to scrap all, you had like 30 songs written. They wanted to scrap all of them except for 18 in Life and Making a Mess. So they wanted to scrap like Youth Gone Wild and Piece of Me and...
Yeah, well, Atlantic had been, especially Dorothy and Jason. They'd been, tracking us for a long time and coming to a lot of shows, and they wanted us, and they were actually the first to make the offer, and then Geffen came in and upped it, and the powers that be said, well, we're going to go with Geffen, and Snake and I were just like after our showcase for them, they picked all the songs that we didn't want to do. And they even wanted to make, the producer that they brought wanted to make Making a Mess all halftime. And it wanted it to be slow. And we were just like, you're going to tell this story that we just told in 3.5 minutes in 7 minutes now. You know what I mean? Ugh. So yeah, it was just, we weren't feeling good about it, but we were listening to management, and then thankfully Atlanta came back and upped the offer, and we felt way better about it because they liked things how we wrote it, and they wanted the band to be the band, and it all worked out. Geffen's was a great label, and they had Guns, and we were psyched about that. But I think what they wanted was a more pop band.
Yeah,
and they scrapped all of our heavier stuff, where Atlantic, I think, wanted more of a Guns N' Roses type band with you know, a more street feel to it. And they genuinely did love our songs, and they came to so many shows. They saw tons of shows, and so it all worked out.
Yeah, definitely. No, so like before recording the album, you guys got to meet with producers. This is always like fascinating to me, like who you pick. So you picked Michael Wagener because he let the band be the band. That was his thing. He said, like, I'll let you guys be the band, but just at least try my ideas. So that seems to work out because you got two, I mean, at least the first two albums, and then he's doing your newer stuff too, right?
We worked on some stuff with Michael for the new the new stuff that we're doing. Yeah, he man, we met with a lot of producers like that did a lot of big bands, and we were like, cool, but there just wasn't, I don't know, you know,
wasn't the vibe.
We're just kind of down to earth dudes, and we didn't really care about their accomplishments as much as we cared about the sounds of things they did, and just their overall, you know, gelling with the guy in a room for an hour, you know what I mean? And when Michael came, he just showed up. You know, Jason Flom brought him in to come see the show. I think we're in Rhode Island at the Living Room. I doubt that's even there anymore. And so we talked to him after the show at a little table, and that was the thing he said. First of all, he's like one of the nicest people you ever meet, and he's done a lot of records that the whole band really liked. And when he said, I don't want to change anything, I just want the band to be the band, that's the most important thing, Snake kicked me under the table, and I was like, yep. And we're like, cool, man, this is great. And then we're like, this guy has to do the record, you know, to do the record. And you know, we did the first two records with him.
Yeah.
It worked out great.
I love the results. I mean, obviously, so the first album, you know, it's a huge hit, and the first single, Youth Gone Wild's the first single. Then I heard you guys had to actually fight for the second single to be 18 in Life, because they wanted I Remember You. But I think, I don't know if it was you or Snake that said, if we release I Remember You, like, that'll be it. Then there won't be any more singles, because that's like the way that it went. It would be like the ballad was the last single, or that was kind of your theory. And so then
yes, sort of. We didn't want to follow the exact formula that seemed like a lot of bands were doing because of that reason. We didn't know for sure whether it would be the last or not, but you know, it was actually Richie Sambora's idea. He's like, you should release 18 in Life. He's like, you guys obviously have that crowd that is more street than a lot of other bands that are out there now. Youth Gone Wild made such a statement, and if you come out with something so pretty afterwards, he goes, to me, that's kind of confusing. And then there was a lot of resistance about doing 18. And thankfully we won, and they trusted us enough, the label trusted us enough to go with our gut. And that ended up selling more as a single than I Remember You did.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I think you guys are right, because after I Remember You, it was like you had another single after that. One of my favorite songs, Piece of Me. And I think that's like a really underrated song. I always look for it in karaoke. I can never find it. I go to a new city. Yeah, I always look for it. I'm like, oh, I really want to sing this song. And I cannot. Does that exist in karaoke anywhere?
I don't know.
Do you guys get paid for those things? You get like royalties or anything? Or
yeah, I mean, just off album sales. And it gets played a lot on a lot of you know, it gets played on satellite. It gets played on a lot of European stations. But
I love that song.
Okay, so it was Piece of Me. I can't remember. Was that after I Remember You or before I Remember You?
I think that was the fourth single. I thought,
because I know we released that song and the video right before we went to Europe as a bridge track. So I'm not sure of the order, but yeah, we did that as a bridge track.
Okay.
And, yeah, it ended up being like it's one of our bigger songs in the set, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And a little trivia for you: if you go slow and you see this blonde guy stage diving into the crowd, it goes by like that.
Yeah.
If you see this kid with long blonde hair stage diving into the crowd, it's John 5 from Rob.
No way.
Yeah, he told me that the other day. I saw him. He's like, "Do you know I'm in the Piece of Me video?" And I was like, and he goes, "I'm that blonde kid stage diving." It goes by really fast.
Crazy. Was that just a regular show, or was that like, did you guys hire extras to do that stuff, or?
That was extras, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, we brought in a crowd, and it was at, I forget the name of the club it was at, but yeah, it was staged. It was all set up, but we
that's great.
Yeah, they kept it so cold in there that we couldn't sweat. And they were spraying us with spritzer bottles, and we're just like, and they're spraying us with spritzer bottles. And once we got going, the lights would warm us up, but it was so cold in there.
Oh, wow. So here's another piece of trivia that I learned. This is hilarious. And when I listened to this song, so Making a Mess, apparently, can you explain the story how Snake sings lead vocals on that song for like 1 second?
One word.
One word. It is, yeah. So, cause I always thought with the way it ended was so I never like read the lyrics, I guess, but it said, I thought he said, "It'll be the biggest mess you ever made, baby," but it's the best mess you ever made, right?
Yep. And it was supposed to be the best mess you ever made. And then they wanted to change it. I forget who.
I thought you said it was Bon Jovi.
It might, yeah. I think it was. It was Johnny. He goes, that should be changed to last. And so Sebastian was already home. And so Snake is like, "Well, I'll change it." And they change it. And it's like, "Nah, go back to best." So I don't even know what's on there. I can't even remember what's on there. But whatever's on there is the original word.
Yeah. Because
we went to another one and they mixed it together and Michael EQ'd it. And yeah, that one word is actually Snake.
That's hilarious.
Is that silly?
It's so funny.
I'm just like, wow, we are splitting hairs here, man.
Yeah. But you can't tell that it's somebody else. It's not like really like abrupt where it says it'll be the best mess you ever. It doesn't sound. Yeah. It sounds like it's Sebastian singing. So good mixing job, Michael Wagener. So
yeah, and also on "I Remember You," at the end there's a harmony on the word "I remember" right before the big long note, and that harmony on there is Jon Bon Jovi.
Oh wow! I don't. Yeah, did he get a credit for that?
Same visit, and he goes, "I got to be on this record somewhere." And so Michael was mixing "I Remember You," and Michael's like, "Do a harmony on here somewhere." So we did it right at the end. Wow. It's just "I remember," and that's it.
Wow, that's crazy. So you guys did so many amazing tours, Aerosmith, and I think Guns N' Roses. Like that would have been. I wish that I didn't get into you guys until the Slave to the Grind record, but man, Guns N' Roses and Skid Row, that would be like one of my dream shows. Do you have any memories of that tour, like touring with them?
Well, there's a riot. There was that.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? We didn't hang a lot, back then it was Party Central with those guys, but
sure.
Didn't really hang a ton. Had some really deep conversations with Axl and at times like maybe two, but I think the guy but Izzy was really, really cool. He obviously he left like mid-tour. That's when he left the band, but I had one conversation with Izzy and it lasted almost 2 hours. We were talking outside the bus and he was into like dirt biking and go-karting and all that stuff. And that's kind of stuff that I liked. I noticed he had a Trials motorcycle and he was washing it outside his bus. I was like, "You do Trials?" And he's like, "Yeah, Trials." So anyway, and then we talked for about 2 hours. And that was really the only conversation I had with him the whole tour. And I remember telling Duff, I was like, "Man, Izzy's a really cool dude. I talked to him for like 2 hours." And he goes, "Who'd you talk to?" I said I talked to Izzy for like 2 hours. And he's like, "Dude, every guy in this band collectively haven't talked to Izzy for 2 hours all month." I thought that was hilarious.
Wow.
I was like, that dude is so cool. And we're into all the same kind of crazy recreational shit. But he was really cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. So Slave to the Grind record comes out. I love it. This is like seriously the first. I used to be like into rap and pop and stuff. And I was hanging out with this girl one day and she's like, "Hey, can I put on Skid Row?" And I was like, "I don't care. Like I'm hanging out with a girl. Like I'm just excited." So she puts that album on and I'm like, This is actually like I really like this album. Who is this again? Like, and that's what that changed my life. That's why I'm doing rock interviews instead of pop or rap or whatever. So I think it was yeah, it's super cool. It totally changed my life. You guys became my favorite band. I love everything about it, but you know, it was a heavier sound, but this was interesting. I didn't know this. Is it true that the record label wanted to have a bikini model star in the video to the title track, Slave to the Grind? Because I was watching that video again last night and I'm like trying to figure out, how do you put a bikini model in Slave to the Grind?
I don't think so. Yeah, no, we had a pretty strict policy of not doing the TNA thing in our videos because we wanted to keep it, you know, just keep us a little different than everyone else, because that seemed to be the norm. And I don't know of any videos. Maybe Psycho Love had a silhouette.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We didn't go for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it didn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
I think that's purely rumor.
Especially with that time, with that heavier album, and you toured with Pantera and Soundgarden.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it's got to be crazy touring with those guys. Like I interviewed the guitarist from Sacred Reich, and he said like they dumped a bunch of hamburger meat on them at the end of the tour. Is that like a thing that you guys do on each other, right? You dump stuff on each other at the end of the tour?
You know, sometimes with Pantera, I don't think we did anything to them. Maybe it probably did something stupid on stage while they were playing, but we didn't like it done to us. You know, we weren't crazy about it. We didn't want it to disrupt the show, but we had so much fun with the Pantera guys. It's ridiculous, man.
Oh yeah, no, I remember watching the videos, and that was the other thing. Like no one ever talks about. You guys had two videos, the Roadkill, and then what's the first one called? Oh, Say Can You Scream? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The home videos. Whose idea was that because this is kind of a revolutionary idea at the time to take home videos of all because this is before cell phones where everyone just had a camera in their pocket. You had to like carry the big camcorders and shit. Like who thought of like doing that? I mean, it was that was like another thing that I became a huge fan of you guys. I was like, God, it looks so fun to just like hang out with these guys.
Yeah, I'm not sure whose idea that was. I think it just kind of happened organically because we all had video cameras.
Oh, okay.
And we had so much footage. It just kind of gave it a insider view of what we're doing sometimes, and just it's the stupidness that happens when you mix rock band and alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is there any
so many fun things? So
many. Is there any plans to do like a re-release of those, like with deleted scenes, or is there any footage that you can't show people that you have? You're like, ooh, this can't go on the DVD.
Nah, not really. I mean, I got a box of little Super 8 tapes, but we used all the good stuff pretty much.
Okay.
But yeah, we're looking to re-release those videos. It's just we gotta wait till we claim ownership on them again, because we've been offered to do it through labels, and it's a business thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, let's do it at a 10% royalty rate type of crap, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, we're that stupid. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
We built this, and we don't want any money for it. You guys take all the money,
right?
But yeah, it's just silly stuff like that. But we will have those soon, and I'm sure we'll put them out.
Yeah. So then the next record, I love this record too. I know you're not as big a fan of it, the Subhuman Race. So why are you unhappy with the production? Did you not like Bob Rock's production? Was that part of it, or just didn't think it was a good fit for your band? Or why'd you guys pick Bob Rock in the first place?
I'm not sure. We agreed on him, I should say. We all had different ideas of who we wanted, but Bob was someone that we liked. We liked the stuff that he did with Metallica and with the Cult, especially. And but that album just kind of seemed that it no one was really interested when we did that record, band included. It's just like we were kind of doing it and getting through it, and the musical climate had changed so much, and there was so much tension within the band, and it's just something that, when I hear it, I listen to the mix and I listen to the production, and it just sounds like we just got in there and did it and got the hell out, There are good songs on there that I would like to re-record one day. But Yeah, just not one of my favorite records that we
But
did.
yeah, you did get to, yeah, that was the 90s. So things were a little tough for bands that had the 80s stamp on them, but you got to tour with Van Halen and they were still doing okay. So, and
Yeah.
obviously, Eddie Van Halen just passed away. Do you have any memories of him? Did you get to hang out with him at all or interactions?
It didn't really. The only guy I talked to a lot was Michael, who was super cool. He used to set up like in his guitar world. He'd always have a cooler, some red lights, and a plate of nachos for the opening bands, and we'd all
Hmm.
go over there, and like it was us and Brother Kane.
Oh, I love Brother
And
Kane.
and he'd have beer for us and 2 bottles of Jack, and it was always really cool.
Huh.
As far as Eddie, I spoke to him a couple times with our first meeting. It was pretty damn funny. Sometimes when you hear someone playing like Van Halen in the other room,
Yeah.
it's not Eddie Van Halen. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
But in this case, it was, and he had a little amp, and because you get so used to people that just copped his style
Right.
and his technique. And it's like, well, this is the guy that invented that shit. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then he just, whenever he walked around, he always had a guitar around his neck, an electric guitar, not plugged in, obviously, and he just talk and he'd play it and talk and play it. And so he comes up, I ran into him in the hallway outside our dressing room and during the daytime, way before showtime. And he goes, "Who are you?" And I go, "I'm Rachel. I play with Skid Row." And he looks at me, he goes, "Rachel? What kind of name is Rachel?" And I just look at him, I go, "Dude, I honestly don't even know how to respond to that question." You know what I mean?
You're like, I'll change it right now, Mr. Van Halen.
Yeah. So I was just like, and I just remember looking at his headstock and just said Wolfgang there. And I was like, I don't know how to respond to this dude. So awesome.
Wow.
It's good to be on the tour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was my one big encounter with Eddie. And the other guys were all super cool.
Yeah.
All really nice to us. They split out pretty soon after they were done. But getting to watch them from side of stage was a huge learning experience, especially Sammy, the way he just grabbed the crowd. You know what I mean? It was like a host to a huge event. You know what I mean? But that huge event just happened to be in his backyard. And it was like a guy talking to like so many people that he knew, and watching that style of showmanship it just blew my mind. Like, okay, you don't have to always, scream at a crowd or do this but the way he handled a crowd and got them on his side was just insane, man. It was insane. Not like they weren't on his side because they were so big then. They had like 2-3 number one records at that point.
Sure.
And just watching him do what he does blew my mind. Just because I've always been a Sammy Hagar fan from the Montrose days on,
Mm-hmm. No, he's great.
And just watching those guys play and what a just crazy tight unit that they were was mind-boggling.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is around that time, the 90s, that, like I said, you're waning in popularity. The scene it's more about the grunge and stuff. So the band kind of dissolves or whatever. We don't need to go into the details. I'm sure you don't want to relive that, but was there a sense of, I almost say like maybe like relief for you in a little bit that you're like, okay, like this is all like, or was it, maybe it was a mix of feelings. Were you sad? Like, oh, this is the end of Skid Row, or like, what were you thinking at that time?
Well, things were pretty bad within the band.
Right.
Even with all of us, actually. It's just like never heard from each other when we were home, and most of us lived 15 minutes from each other's house. And it was just such, it just became, I don't know. It started to get not fun at one point because it was just all the bullshit that went along with preparing to do stuff and whatever it was. It just, it was a relief in a way. It was melancholy. You know what I mean? It was a relief and good. I get to go home and just chill and recharge my batteries. But where are we going from here? you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of waiting out like a storm, so to speak, and just seeing what's going to be there when it goes by. And you know, it was years. It was years, and then we decided to get the band back together, and you know, in 2000, here we are, 20 years later, and still having fun and doing a lot of shows. Well, not now, but you know, we're doing a lot of shows, 100 shows a year, and that's a lot for a bunch of old guys.
Yeah, so you reform the band. You guys do a couple albums with Johnny, Thick Skin, Revolutions Per Minute, the United, what's it called? United World Rebellion. There's like 2 parts, and then the third part's coming out with your new singer. So, but then you guys split with Johnny, and then Tony Harnell was in the band for like a little bit, and that was just not a good match personality-wise or musically. And so there was a brief time, like 5 years ago, where you were going to reunite with the whole original band, right? Or it was mulling over?
We're entertaining the idea.
Entertaining the idea. Okay. Yeah. Quick detour. So I don't know, did you see recently, like Tommy Lee came out and he said, there's an article about him saying that he was drinking 2 gallons of vodka a day.
How could you survive that?
I don't, well, so here's my point. I interview a lot of musicians. A lot of the musicians go through this like drinking thing, and then like they get old and they're like, okay, well now I'm sober and I'm in rehab. Like, I don't want to hit this too much because I know you don't want to talk about this, but with Sebastian, do you think that is part of the issue why things fell apart and internally? You think like the drinking and like if he went through a 12-step program or something, do you think that would change anything? And not with the reunion, because I feel like that ship has sailed, but just in terms of the relationship, because he was your friend for like 10 years, right?
Well, all right, here's the soundbite for Blabbermouth, but
oh, fuck.
I wouldn't say we were friends. We were bandmates. You
okay.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't, you know what I mean? We're 2 very different people.
Yeah. But do you think that would change at least where you guys could be? Are you even cordial with, like, do you ever see him like just like in different, no?
Yeah. No.
Just like randomly you don't run into him or anything?
Haven't in years.
Okay.
Haven't in years. Yeah.
All right. Well, so that ship, like I said, that ship has sailed. You know, I'm a diehard fan. I'm a Skid Row fan. I'm a Sebastian fan. But I'm a fan of the new band. So tell me about your new singer, ZP. Scotti said he's the best singer you've ever had.
I agree. I concur 100%. He used to sing for Dragon Force, European, like, I guess you could say a progressive metal band. And I was a fan of his voice when they came out, and I was in New York doing press, and Dragon Force was playing what was then the Nokia Theater. It's changed so many times, I don't know what it is now, but and I went, and I was like, man, this guy is good. You know, he's so good. And fast forward a few more years, you know, Dragon Force is just blowing up, and we had a mutual friend, and he said, hey, I heard that Z is going to leave Dragon Force. Z is a buddy of mine. I heard he's going to leave Dragon Force. And you were saying that you just wanted to put a fun side project together. You should call him, man, and just chit chat. So Rob Hammersmith and I, we the band had a gig in Russia. So Rob and I flew to England a few days before that and met with Z and said, yeah, man, let's do this. Let's put a side project together, have fun. And he was the coolest dude, so laid back. He drank beer. He had fun. He ate same, you know, pub food that we both like. You know what I mean? So it was just like, it was a friendship like that, you know, and we kept in touch over the years. And then as it so happened, you know, he did leave Dragon Force and he started a band, IMI. Our side project never materialized because Skid Row got so busy, and just the distance, you know, just for a side project really didn't make sense. So, but we stayed in touch and we stayed friends. And then when things didn't work out with Tony, I think we may have emailed or called each other like within 10 minutes of each other saying, hey dude, it is time, you know?
Yeah.
So he flew to the States, and we got in rehearsal room, and he goes, we're just like, what songs you want to do? He goes, you guys tell me, you know. And it's like, you tell me. He goes, I'm pretty sure I know all of them.
So he was a Skid Row fan?
He was a Skid Row fan.
Oh, okay, nice.
He lived in South Africa. We were one of his favorite bands.
Oh, that's awesome.
And when we were just like, okay, let's do, you know, we did we call them the Big Five, and we did those. And he's like, you want to go for something deeper? We're like, you know, Beat Yourself Blind. He's like, yep. And he did it, and he crushed it. And then we did some other stuff, and he crushed it and crushed it and crushed it. And we're just like, this is ridiculous. And then our first gig was, we were playing Mohegan Sun Arena, and there were, you know, 3,000 people. And it's just like, he's going out with a band he never did a live show with. And he's like, who wants to do shots? So we all do shots before the show.
Wait, you guys are doing shots? Aren't you too old for shots and shit?
Yes, not. We are. Does it stop us? No. Yes, we absolutely are too old to do shots. Do we stop? No.
What do you do shots of?
Before a show, usually vodka, something nice.
Just and straight vodka?
You know? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Snake and Z like them chilled.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'll do the chilled shot with them. But yeah, Scotty doesn't drink, and Rob doesn't like to drink before a show. So
okay.
It's just the three of us. And our thing is, we do 3, maybe not full 1 ounce shots, but our thing is 3 shots so that we could, you know, that's our ritual.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we're like,
wow.
So for this first show, we're all looking at each other. We're like, man, nothing phases this dude. Like we've had guys in the band, like whether it was a drummer or another singer, that have almost fallen apart before their first show with us. And I'm just like, there's 3,000 people out there going bananas. And this dude he just went out, man, and he tore it up. And that was right there when Scotty came over to me on stage and said to me, this is the best damn singer we've ever had. I was like, yep. You know, and the thing is too, is he's so about the band. He's just like Skid Row, and just full on team player, and just all about what makes Skid Row better, what, you know. And he's very creative. He's got a great opinion. He's got a great outlook on life in general, and a great outlook on when things are not going the way we expect them to, you know. And it's infectious, man. It gets all of he gave this band a much needed shot, just of adrenaline and excitement to go back out and just do what we do best, you know. And now he's going on 6 years in the band. Yeah,
it's been that long. Holy crap!
Yeah, he came in. No, he's going into year 5, I guess, because he came
2015
in
or 16.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. Hell,
wow,
I don't know, dude.
Well, that's a pretty good sales pitch right there for the new singer. I'm excited. I haven't seen. I think when I saw you guys, no, I saw you with Johnny. I haven't seen this new guy yet. I don't know. Have you been to Phoenix in the last few years? I don't know, but
probably. I don't know.
You'll have to come back, and once concerts start again. Does he do any of the songwriting? Does he contribute to the songwriting as well? Or
he has, yeah. With the stuff we're doing, he's contributed a bit. Yep.
Yeah. Tell me who else is you've got Corey Taylor from Stone Sour, which, by the way, I didn't know you played bass on one of Stone Sour's albums. It's another little side note trivia, but you're like friends with him, right?
Yeah, the House on Golden Bones, the House of Golden Bones. I played on that double record. Yeah, he's a buddy, and we said, let's get together and write. And we got together pretty quickly and wrote some stuff. And you know, we'll probably write some more. We were both so busy, and it was like Snake and I were there, and Corey was doing his thing. He was recording with Stone Sour and on their last record. So everyone was kind of distracted, but we got some good stuff out of it, and we plan on getting together and doing some more.
Yeah, and wrote. Lizzie from Hailstorm co-wrote. Who other co-writers on this album?
We wrote with Lizzie and Joe a tune that we really like. All these songs were still undecided, because now we have so much time. We're actually rewriting some and whatever. We wrote with Marty Fredrickson, who wrote tons of stuff.
Oh yeah, he's been all over the place. Aerosmith,
yeah. And Yeah, who else? I forget, but we yeah, it's the first time we really extended ourselves to write with outside writers. And we started with our friends because it was a new thing for us. So we're like, well, let's do it with people we're comfortable with, and not just go and write with someone that is strictly a songwriter, and who knows if we're going to even vibe with a person. So it was a big thing for us to put our egos to the side and say, let's go write with other people.
Yeah. Are you friends with, so this is crazy. I interviewed Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys, and he told me that you guys had offered him audition. I don't know if you offered him the job, but you were interested in having him try out for Skid Row. Is there truth to that? Like, they even put that in the Wikipedia. Yeah. So there is truth to that. I broke that story. It's crazy. I'm on your Wikipedia. If you go into the Wikipedia, it says Chuck Shoot Podcast. I'm like, my jaw dropped when I saw that. That was crazy. That I'm like somehow associated with you guys is amazing to me.
That is so funny. Yeah, Wikipedia. That's the weirdest thing. Like, anyone could go in there and edit it.
I didn't do it though. I swear to God, it wasn't me. Somebody else did it. Yeah,
there's some dude I went to high school with that keeps going on there and putting himself as a past member of the band. Our management is like, you don't know this guy. He wasn't in the band. I'm like, no, that dude was never in a damn band.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, no, we talked to Jason to see if he wanted to try out. Johnny, he was like supposed to be right after Johnny.
Oh, okay.
And Johnny just worked out, and Jason was busy. He had like 2 bands going on and stuff.
He's got like 7 bands or something. Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah. So it but yeah, Jason's a good dude, man. I like that guy.
Yeah, he's really cool. Would you ever do a tour with him in one of his 8 bands?
Yeah, man, I like him. He sent me some stuff. I forget which of the bands it was, but it was really very metal, very heavy.
Igniter really, or what? Yeah.
Maybe.
Or what's the broken?
It wasn't Broken Teeth.
Broken Teeth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got so many.
It was another one of his metal bands. It was cool stuff.
Did you? So of the bands that you haven't toured, you said you wanted to tour with Foo Fighters, Judas Priest, or AC/DC, and you've never toured with any of those, right? But you want to.
Would love to.
Have you ever met Alice Cooper? Because you said that was like one of the. Oh, you did get to meet him. What was he like? I've heard he's really cool.
He's great. Actually wrote some songs with him back in '89.
Really?
When he was writing for Hey Stupid. They didn't make the record, but my big win was getting to meet and write with Alice Cooper in my house. It was awesome. Yeah, but Alice is one of those guys that are just, he's so nice, man. And, being such a huge influence on me, sometimes you're afraid to meet your idols. You don't know what they're going to be like. And
it's me right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I obviously his character is so larger than life, and he's just a cool dude, man. He just, the funniest thing when I first met him is he had a staring contest with my cat because my cat was just across the room and would not stop staring at Alice. And Alice just goes, your cat's having a staring contest with me, or wants to have a staring contest with me. I go, yeah, he does that. And he just looks at the cat and goes, you're not going to beat me. And the cat just went like that and looked away. It was the best thing I've ever witnessed.
Wow, that's fun. I love stories like that. You got some good stories.
Yeah, man, I've been around. When you have a lot of stories, that means you're old.
Yeah. Hey, as long as you're still kicking, this is good. You got any other stories that come to mind of rock stars or touring? Or did you guys have did you see The Dirt? Did you see that movie, The Dirt? Like, was that on a scale of The Dirt and AA? Where were you guys? Where were you guys? Because the videos I saw, it was pretty crazy.
I'm not big on biopics or biopics, however you pronounce that. But yeah, I got to say, I didn't make it too far into that movie, just because when I see stuff like that and see people acting out, I don't know. This is my own hang up. So I didn't see the movie.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, me, my partying never extended past drinking. You know what I mean?
Really?
I mean, I tried stuff when I was younger, but during our whole time, I mean, Jesus, I just recently started doing a hit of weed or eating a gummy within the last 10 years. You know what I mean? I never got into any kind of drugs. my whole thing was drinking. That was my extent of partying. Sometimes far too much, but that was my only kind of recreation that was unhealthy.
Yeah, no, that's pretty crazy. Well, sorry, I took up way too much of your time, but thank you for doing this. Oh, let's talk real quick. I want to promote your, tell me about the Dirty Rocker soap. This is interesting. I didn't know. It's my girlfriend always makes fun of me because I like the bar soaps, but yeah, I mean, you created this. It's like bar soaps.
Yeah, it was an idea I had a couple years ago. 'Cause I was like, man, well, here's how it started. A friend of mine, she makes soap, and she has a small soap company, and I tried it. I was like, wow, this is really amazing. Like all natural stuff in here is so much different than, because I have eczema, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I can't use deodorant soaps. I can't use a lot of like soaps with a lot of harsh perfumes and stuff like that. And a lot of times when you go to hotels, that's all they have. So I brought, I borrowed her stuff on the road, and I was just like, wow, this is really amazing. So I'm like, man, I should start my own. Everybody has a coffee, everybody has a hot sauce, everybody has this and that, the other thing. I said, it's something new. And so I was got the, needed to get the licensing and the trademarks and all that stuff. And I was like, if I do it, I wanted, I don't want to just license my name to something. I don't want just someone to say, hey, we make these and we want to put your name on. So I just started from the ground up, man. And it was just going to kind of be a hobby. And I commissioned my friend to make some of them. And, we formulated together, and they sold out in a couple of days. I built a website. I built I was just very hands-on, and now with all the downtime, it launched, and it's pretty crazy.
I love the logo is really, I haven't tried the soap yet. I'm going to get some, but the logo is, again, you hit another home run with the Skid Row logo. But I had a question. I was on the website, and there was like a section about returns. I was like, who's returning an $8 bar of soap? I mean, it's got to cost more to ship it than did you. I mean, that's like a big thing. Like, hey, look at the ingredients. If you're allergic to this stuff, don't buy it, but it's like, wow, did you have an issue with that where people were returning?
No, I didn't. I just did research,
Oh, okay.
And, just did research of a lot of other smaller soap companies, like Dirty Rocker. And I'm like, yeah, because I thought the same thing. I was like, who's going to return a bar of soap, And
so weird.
Yeah.
But
so
I
saw it, and I was like, wow, every single one has this.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to put it on there,
and better safe than sorry, I guess. What's that?
That's funny that you mentioned that.
It's just funny because I was like, who's going to return an $8 bar of soap? But there are people out there that are crazy so no, that's smart. So the soap, we got, the new album is maybe coming out in 2021.
Yeah.
At some point?
I'm hoping for that. With everything as crazy as it is, we have so much time to rewrite stuff and write more songs. But if I can, I want to mention this one thing that I just got involved with. It's called Drive the Music. And it's in conjunction with, what's the name of it? Music Venue Alliance Nashville. And it's all about, there's so many local Nashville venues that have closed their doors and may have to close for good. And in order for them not to, drive the music Nashville.com, you could go and get one of these shirts for $30, and 100% of the proceeds go to Music Venues Alliance of Nashville. And it's all these clubs are very similar. Like any band that you grew up listening to, or I grew up listening to, have come through clubs like this all over the United States and all over the world. And we're just, I'm in Nashville now, and a lot of these venues I have seen bands go through, and Skid Row has been in when we were coming up, and they're very, very important to music. So we're just trying to raise enough money so we could hopefully keep these venues open, and to get music live again in Nashville. And any support, it's at would be appreciated. Drive
Yes.
the music, Nashville.com. Get a shirt, show your support.
Okay, I will do that for sure. And I'll get some soap, and I'm hoping to see the new album. And then hopefully also your tour dates were rescheduled for 2021. Like that, you had this big tour that you announced with Rat, Tom Kiefer, and Slaughter.
Yeah.
And all those have
that
just
got
moved.
Canceled.
Did it not just, no, that didn't move to 2021. It's canceled completely.
That tour is canceled.
Okay.
I think Rat and Kiefer are going to hook up, but I don't know about that. But most of our European shows just kind of got picked up and dropped into next year.
Okay.
A day or two off to where they were this year. A lot of the US shows are being rebooked now.
Okay.
Our China shows that got pushed to the beginning of 21 have now been pushed to the beginning of 22. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's a very weird experience,
Yeah.
and, hopefully we'll be back out there next year, but we're not going to go out too soon because we're not going to endanger anyone. And we are planning, when I don't know, maybe early next year, planning a live streaming event.
Right.
So, stay tuned for that.
Okay.
And that's where we are, man.
Very cool. Thank you so much. This is like, I know you guys, another charity you work with, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This was like my Make-A-Wish Foundation. So thank you for doing this. It's amazing.
Right on, man.
It's really cool. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you guys. If you're in Phoenix or if you're close, I'll take a road trip. I've gone to Vegas and stuff like that. So
I know I think we have Vegas booked, but we usually come through Phoenix or Tucson.
Yeah, Tucson. I drove. You guys played with Warren LA Guns. I drove to Tucson to see. That was a good show. So
cool. Right on, man.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right, dude. We'll see you.
Okay. Still pinching myself that I had the bassist, songwriter, and founder of one of my all-time favorite bands on my show today. But yeah, I mean, I think that really happened. So I had an absolute blast hearing all those stories from Rachel. I don't know. I feel like we kind of bonded a little. I don't know. Hopefully he'll do my show again, even though I asked the dreaded Sebastian question, sort of. Though I gotta say, listening to him talk about his new singer, I mean, you can see the excitement in his eyes. You can hear it in his voice. He just seems genuinely happy, and I just truly want that for everyone. And so even though I'm a diehard fan, and of course seeing a reunion of the original lineup someday would be cool, I really want to give the new singer ZP a chance. I'm really excited to see them live when concerts come back someday, and I'm actually looking forward to the new album. And also, I'm definitely getting one of those T-shirts for Nashville and some of that Dirty Rocker soap. I will forever be eternally grateful to Rachel for doing my show, and of course, I'm grateful to all of you for listening. Make sure to follow Rachel and Skid Row on social media so you don't miss any updates about their new tour and upcoming album. Make sure to follow me on social media so you don't miss any updates on my show. The show's growing. I'm getting some great guests, and I think the names are just going to get bigger as time goes on. So go ahead and smush that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. In the words of Skid Row, no need to whimper, no need to shout. This party's over, so get the fuck out. Thanks for listening. Shoot for the moon.